Hello everyone, welcome to Civil Prep. I'm Krishna Gupta, and this is a session, a case study on the cryosphere collapse and microbial emergence. So, what we are seeing in the contemporary time that various cryospheres which are present in Arctic region, Antarctic region, Himalayan region, Alps, so they are getting collapsed. They are melting down because of the global warming, which is an anthropogenic aspect here. So we will try to understand that what were the microbials which were present millions of years ago, and what was these microbials? If these microbials come out after the melting of the glaciers, so how they will impact the world? So this is quite a situation where the world, the scientists, the we can say the medical field experts, the biotechnologists, they will have to think over this particular aspect in a very important way. So let's see what the geographical perspective is and what can be the geographical solution for this situation. So let's look at the introduction. So the Earth's frozen domains, that is the cryosphere, it is melting rapidly due to the climate change. So here, one of the very prestigious institute, that is UNEP, have provided frontiers that in 2025, warning of ecological disruption, sea level rise, and microbial threats, which is a very, very important issue in the contemporary time. So looking at the geographical lenses here, we are looking at it from the biogeographical aspect. Environmental and human geographical analysis can also be done here. Now, we see here that there is a presence of new ice here, where we see that the frost flowers are present. Where we look at certain amount of atmospheric deposition is also seen, which is consisting of certain amounts of bacteria in this particular frost here. Now, what we see that these frost or these bacteria, they are getting deposited in the form of snow. Now, when we look at the pond, where we can see that this ice, which is consisting of these bacteria, they are getting into it. Okay, where we go into the deeper part of the pond or the sea ice, here we will be seeing that there is presence of diatoms at the lower part. Apart from this, there is also heterotrophic bacterium which is present in the region. So this is one of the aspect where we see that there is presence of the bacteria over the surface and the bacteria and various other organisms towards the lower part of the water part. So here we see that when there is the melting of the ice and glacier will take place here. So here there will be development of the cryopex where the permafrost will be seen. This permafrost and the presence of the water, it will be consisting of the bacteria which were present here since the very, we can say, very ancient times. So through these soil grains, okay, which is present here, we will see that the water will come into the cracks and fractures and it will move into the active layers of the soil. Okay, so here we are seeing that the bacteria they are present in this particular cracks and fractures to which the bacteria can reach the active layer of the soil here. Okay, now because of this issue, what we can see here, a basic a basic issue can occur here which we need to understand. That is the cryosphere dynamics, the spatial impacts and the global systems which we'll be looking at. So looking at from the systems approach in geography, the cryosphere, it is the subsystem of the earth where we look at. This is the biosphere, or we can call it as, first we have the lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, then we have cryosphere. All these spheres, they are interacting with each other. And in the middle of it, we have biosphere. Under the biosphere, we have over the top of it the presence of the anthroposphere, okay, where the human beings are living in all the conditions here. So where we see that this cryosphere, it is one of the subsystems of the Earth's physical system. The climate perturbations after the hydrology, ecosystems, and global temperature regulation theory can also be understood. Here, the isostatic rebound and eustatic changes can also be seen here. Isostatic, majorly, it is seen from the regional perspective, while the eustatic, it is seen from the global perspective. The glacial melt, that is eustatic sea level rise, okay. The post-glacial uplift influence coastal geomorphology and settlement law systems also, okay. We can also apply here the Bergman's rule, okay, which is the part of the biogeography. Here, the larger species are found in the cooler climates, okay, while the habitat loss, it causes maladaptive responses in response to the habitat loss here. So let's understand this Bergman's rule because it is quite new for us now. So what it is seen here in the tropical region, we have bears which are quite smaller in size. Okay. When we move to the subtropical region, their size increases. Then in the temperate region, they are higher in size. As we move towards the temperate, towards the, we can say towards the boreal region, their size is again bigger. But at the polar regions, where the polar bears are living, their size is the largest. So this is one of the rule is that is ecogeographic principle that states that within broadly distributed taxonomic clade, the populations and species of larger size are found in the colder and of smaller size in the warmer regions. This is happening because of the thermoregulation. Thermoregulation, or we also call it as the homeostasis. Okay, so it is basically following the principle of thermoregulation of homeostasis, where the larger body will help in the preservation of more energy and the accumulation of more fat here. Okay, so looking at the other aspects, the microbial revival and the ecosystem disruption. So the microbial revival, which will be happening because of the melting of the glaciers, and ecosystem disruption, looking at from the theory. The ecological succession, which was provided by Clements, thawed microorganisms, that is the melting of glaciers, will trigger the secondary succession, okay, which is an important part here. This secondary succession, it will alter the microbial community structure and ecosystem function model, which is present in a region. Apart from this, looking at from the landscape ecology provided by Foreman and Gordon. Here, the pathogen and AMR gene spread follows the permafrost patterns, temperature gradients, and also the human encroachment principles. Very important. Then the thresholds and the tipping points. The microbial reactivation marks the ecological tipping point from where there will be no looking back. And this risk will be irreversible for the ecosystem and its damage. Once this microbial come into the picture or they come into the earth and they become part of the system. So how they will be altering the other systems, it is quite unknown in the contemporary time. So how we will be dealing with such kind of situation, let's look at it. So the climate change and the human geography, what it is providing us here. So climate change and the human geographical theory with respect to the possibilism versus the environmental determinism, where the adaptation versus the physical geography dictating the human outcomes is seen here, where the indigenous knowledge and the scientific communities, they converge here in the adaptation of these laws, which we see in the principle of the Gyanism and the technocentric approach. Okay, apart from this, the albedo effect and the black carbon dynamics, the black carbon, it lowers the albedo, which we see, which we quite know very well. It also accelerates the glare melting model. So this we can see as the positive feedback loop or feedback mechanism. Apart from this, the Hagerstrand's diffusion model, where the microbial threats and the MR, They will follow the trade, travel, and climate-induced migrants from one region of the world to another region of the world, which is very well explained by the Pakistan diffusion model. And how far they will reach, it is being provided by the gravity model. Okay, so here we'll be seeing that the cryospheric services and the sustainability which is needed here. So the cryospheric services and sustainability model, it follows the DPSR framework where the driving forces, it is GHG emissions and black carbon. The pressures is also seen by tourism and the wildfires. States that is permafrost thaw and the ice shelf collapse is seen here. Impact on water scarcity and biodiversity shift will be seen. Responses, if we look at the regulations, adaptation technologies, concept of ecological footprint and biocapacity, human use exceeds cryosphere biocapacity will be seen here, which threatens the cold biome and the resilience and the part of the water cycle is also seen here. Okay. Looking at the antimicrobial resistance and the spatial risk. The antimicrobial resistance, they follow certain theory here with respect to spatial risk theory, with respect to time-space convergence, okay, where the AMR genes travel faster via the global mobility network model. If we look at the time-space convergence, this was also provided by Strand. Okay. The spatial epidemiology, that is the part of which is provided by Snoop, that is John's. The predictive mapping of the cryosphere, land outbreaks, that is Yamal anthrax. This is one of the, we can say, an anthrax which have been already spread in the region. So this is one of the principle which can be applied here. That is spatial epidemiology. Then lot limiting factors of Liebig. AMR, it reduces the healthcare effectiveness. Healthcare becomes limiting factor post microbial invasion. For example, like in COVID-19 situation, which have become first the epidemic, then a pandemic. So in this situation, in that situation, in the COVID situation, the people, or we can say the various cohort population were not able to fight very well with the situation of the COVID-19. So in this situation also, whatever the medicine science we have developed till yet, so it can be applied or it cannot be applied. It will be quite uh, questionable in that particular situation. Therefore, we need to see this law of limiting factor also. Then, if you look at this time-space convergence here, so we can see this during the 1500s and 1840s, how the time and space was present. But with the development of technology and transport system, it converged. In 1950s, it converged more with the development of airplanes. But now with the faster system, we see that this, the development of the jet passenger aircraft, this system is more developed in the contemporary time. Okay. So in this way, we can see that how the time and space is converged. So this principle can also be applied at the spread of the microbials, okay, which is present under the glaciers or cryosphere. Okay, so India's role of the regional implications. We see here the strategic geography which is provided by SAS. Himalayas and Ladakh as strategic cryosphere assets need sustainable governance and monitoring model so that the cryosphere which is present there, it is not getting completely melted, and whatever the microbials which is it is present beneath them, it should not be released into atmosphere. Then we have Sendai framework, that is DRR. The hazard mapping for the glacier burst and permafrost thaw. Community preparedness and the transboundary cooperation is very much needed, which is provided by Sendai framework here. Looking at the antimicrobial resistance and the spatial risk. So here, cryosphere collapse is a biogeographical upheaval, reshaping the Earth's equilibrium, which is present in the contemporary time. Here, the revived microbes and the AMR proliferation, it will highlighten or heighten the ecosystems and the health risks of not only humans, but other animals and organisms also. Looking at the geography optional frameworks, which reveal the spatial, environmental, and human dimensions here. Then, if we look at the solutions, it demands the traditional knowledge, which is looked at from the Gyanism perspective, scientific foresight from the technocentric approach, and spatial planning, where we have the geographical aspect and perspective for providing solution. So, guys, this is a case on the microbial and their resurgence, how it will impact the world in the contemporary time with a geographical perspective. Do like, do share, and do comment that how did you like this video. And see you in the next session. All the best and take care.